You're listening, you're watching, participating in another episode of Transparency and Merit. And we're hitting the streets tonight to take a look at homeless and the shopping cart. What happened to my there it is. Shopping cart guy. Bonjour. It is a Friday night.
Yes.
It is now February 19th, 2021.
Yes.
You're listening to the sweet guitar licks of Mr. White. So good. But anyways, you're listening. This is Transparency and Merit. I'm Joe, and Brian is here.
Yes.
We have a website, transparencyandmerit.com. All right. What happened? I'm almost afraid to ask you what happened did you come across some sort of homeless person with a shopping cart?
Well, as you know, this whole pandemic has caused a layer of homelessness that has really gotten larger and bigger. And, but I'm thinking, because the one homeless guy that I kind of know, he's kind of annoying. He's been kicked out of a lot of places, but recently he also got himself a shopping cart. And I remember
being kicked out of like shelters, you mean?
Well, he's been kicked out of shelters, churches, and stuff because I think he's a little bit on the mentally ill side. He was getting because the food banks, the churches have opened up food banks since this whole pandemic. But I wanted to say, you know what? And it got me to thinking about shopping, homeless and shopping carts. I remember in the 70s, and it wasn't until like the 80s when I started to see the homeless just using the shopping carts like they do today. And that's got to be, I don't know when that started to happen, when homeless people started to just the whole shopping cart in the homeless, when did that start to explode? Like, when did that come to be a thing, Joey?
I mean, I've seen it since the 80s, so
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it for a long time. And I remember when a lot of the supermarkets here in Los Angeles started to put like kind of like those weird locks. So if you pushed the shopping cart off the premises, the wheels would lock. That didn't come around until like the 90s.
Yeah, well, and actually to the 2000s that I can recall.
You might
But
be right. Yeah, it might.
you know,
Yeah, more
I want
recent.
to say though, if you do happen to be homeless, I think you got to stay away from because if you get if you're homeless and you start like you got to resist the thing to get a shopping cart because that means we're going to be here for a while. It's not just a tough spell. Uh, the shopping cart means that you
You
know,
got
hey,
life in there, man.
yeah, that's I'm living. I've decided to live here. You know, if I get if you're homeless and you get a shopping cart, you know what? That is you live there now. You're living on the street, and that's your regular gig. You know, and I don't know how long you can live being a shopping cart kind of homeless person,
Now,
but
do you ever have an issue with homeless people at your house where you lived at any point?
you know what? Back when I was a kid, we had a few vagrants, and you know, um, only until recently, there was a meth addict who was coming by the place, and I could tell, man, he was licking his chops and always asking for money. And I did make the mistake of giving him a few bucks, and then I realized, man, this guy is not going to just be in for me for a few bucks. He is a dope fiend, and should never have given him anything. I mean, he looked like a dangerous drug addict.
Yeah, those meth addicts too, like they will literally like go under your house and and wait and just kind of stare up through your rafters. They are scary to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like messing with them. But and I always walked the other way. Always, I never got into it with a meth head because I always saw them coming, I guess.
Yeah.
But man, I
Well,
remember
I'm
in a
not 40
day.
years old, Susie, but okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There was a day in the late 70s when we it might have even been around 1980, right around that time. I think it was earlier. Yeah, 78, 79. We still didn't even have a lock on our front door at this point. And I remember walking out one morning. I woke up and there was a dude sleeping in our living room. And I freaked out and ran in. My dad came out and it was the whole thing. And ever since then, there was then we had the big double lock, like this hoop thing that I don't know if you ever had that, like a hoop lock. And yeah, from there it was always like we never basically left the house without locking the doors once the 80s came around.
Yeah, I'm just curious to when when that started to come about. And I'm older than 40, Susie. I'm older than 40.
When did he ever say he was 40?
Yeah, yeah. And just Yoko Ono, be quiet.
Yoko, stop trying to break up the band.
Stop trying to break up the band, Yoko. But no, he said when I left the city and I moved upstate and never locked the door. That's what Wayne says.
What year was that, Wayne? I wonder.
I remember we had 3 burglaries in the.
He had a deer in his house. That's a typical Wayne story right there. I woke up one day, there's a deer in my bedroom.
And then if it was this,
So I asked him to stick around for a while, maybe have breakfast with me. I gave him a bagel.
there
Wow.
was a deer in my bedroom, man, and that'd be good. There was a deer in my bedroom out there, and when I was there in Nova Scotia out there. And
Wauwatosa.
the deer took my Coke, man.
The deer just broke into my Valium box, took all my Black Beauties.
Oh shit. Oh. I'm taking this thing called Bang right now. It's an energy drink, and it's Rainbow Unicorn. I wonder if it's bad for my diabetes. It's sugar free.
Rainbow Unicorn. That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, whatever. It's
What kind of colors are in there? Ugh.
it's
Rainbow Unicorn, huh?
yeah. But
Unicorns have really wow, they've really taken the world by storm. So JP doxing my drug history. Come on, man. You think I didn't know what Black Beauty was about? Come on, Wayne. So
well,
the homeless encampments here in the west and northeast San Fernando Valley, because that's what areas I know best.
yeah.
And they're just like pop-up operations. Like one day they're not there, and then the next day, boom, there's like 4 tents set up in this like one little area, and it's just
Now, Joey, have you seen an explosion in the homeless since COVID?
I don't know if I've seen an explosion. People kind of make it up to be something maybe that it's not. In fact, there were some encampments. There was one near me that was truly weird and big, like
Mhm.
30, 40 people
Yeah.
under a freeway overpass, and it was underneath it, and there was like this just like this weird unusable land area where they usually put like all the electrical towers and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy for that was in, last March, April, May, and it finally went away, or I think around in the summertime.
But I kind of wanted to say that there seems to have been an evolution of the homelessness.
Oh yeah. We were gonna get into that,
I
but
mean, it
like
used
going
to
back in
be
time. Yeah,
back in the day, the homeless it was drunken bums, and maybe with a few mentally ill.
yeah.
And
They carried that stick with the bandana at the end, and
yeah,
all their stuff was in the little bandana, and that was it.
and they'd go, they'd go, hopping freights and stuff like that, just traveling around country looking
Yeah,
for odd jobs,
train hop.
looking for a handout, and maybe treat a guy to a drink. And now it's kind of regressed into like drug-addled maniacs.
Well,
And
there was a period in between that, like, so yeah, you had the hobo thing, and they were kind of they had some
charming, yeah, the last of the hobos, man. Yeah.
hobos were like they had wisdom, but they were alcoholics, and they always had a big red nose. And
Yeah.
then, but then in the 80s, it kind of got electrified because then they were cracked out.
Well, I think in the 70s, the 70s, you started to have the homeless drug addicts, and then
Yes.
I think they empty by the 70s, didn't they empty all the mental, you used to be able to commit people to homeless shelters, I guess without their will, and now a lot of these people are out onto the street because you're not a sane if you are around in a shopping cart with all your belongings there, you're not necessarily a sane person. You know? Would you agree with that, Joey?
You know what? Some of the more cogent bums out there would tell you to your face that you're wrong. Some people claim it's the best days of their lives being out in the streets, but ultimately, yeah, it's a revolving door. It's a phase for some of these people. but it's a lifestyle for other ones. And the lifestylers, like, yeah, I would say some of those people are like yeah, there you see a lot more mental health issues and in those people. So
You know, I gotta say, I think that homelessness in America is a lot more lonely than I mean, poverty in America is a lot more lonely than other kinds of perhaps other kinds of poverty
here's
throughout the
a
world. Even
question:
though it's worse.
do you think homeless are only in cities? I think they are a creation of the city, to be honest. They may be. I'm sure they're in other places, but I think they are products of the city.
You know what? I think the homeless that are outside the cities that are living off the grid, probably you don't see them because they're out of sight, out of mind. You know, they're probably at people out there living in the woods, camping, and I don't know how long you can live like that with modern medicine and stuff like that. You need, you know, I guess you might need to be near a city for food and shelter. I mean, not only shelter but food. I mean, I guess you can forage for food, and there are probably some survivalists out there like that. You know, I mean, you can eat the bug. You know, you can eat bugs, and there are probably other kinds of food you can eat, and you can maybe catch a squirrel or a you know or a you know or a bird and stuff, and you know eat that. I mean, you can survive, I guess.
I'll
But
tell you my big thing, and I've done this now. This is my God. I want to say it's my 10th year of gardening, like doing having gardens. This year I have the biggest garden I've ever had, and it's so much fun because with all this time at home, I feel like I've always got some gardening to do. And yeah, I've really enjoyed kind of like that aspect of the changes that we're experiencing. But I also think that that's about as homeless as I want to get, like living out of my garden. That's to me, that's close enough to nature. I don't want to be in the streets with broken bottles and urine, cat food, and crazy, crazy men and women.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I just think that a true homeless life, it almost looks like you know you know what that would be like if I were homeless. I think I think that, man, it would almost be better than, you know, death would almost be better. And that's what I
Yeah.
remember. There was an African immigrant
Mhm.
who said he looks at poverty in America and like homelessness, and he said he'd almost rather die than be homeless in this country because it's such a lonely. You know, you may have uh, better conditions, but it seems like a very lonely and just cold existence. You know, I think
Well,
in other countries, you know, there are a lot of homeless people, so they're all kind of together. You know, so it's not as isolating or alone. When you're homeless in America, you're kind of alone.
hmm,
Yeah, sometimes they are invisible, but I mean, the thing is, it's and some, you know, I have developed friendships with sometimes homeless, but there are reasons with their behavior why they're that way, and they certainly will do things that that cause them that they'll be caused problems, and they do.
I've never really had a bad experience with homeless. Like they may have, one came up to I remember when I was young and stupid, and I was on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and a homeless guy came up, and I was like, I'm talking. I got real huffy with it. It's so dumb. He probably just wanted $1 or something.
Come on, man. Yeah, but
Leave me alone. But yeah, it's I've never really been accosted too hard. I don't know.
But you know what? I mean, sometimes they got nothing to lose, man. You know?
Yeah, hasn't happened with me, but there have been stores that I wanted to go at where if there was a streetless dude hanging out front, I just went somewhere else. Didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. Leave me alone. And there are guys they'll go into stores and beg for money. Like there's a Chinese place I'd go to, and there's a homeless guy, and he'd ask for some spare change, man.
Mm-hmm.
Spare
Yeah,
dollar, damn, dude.
working out in the public,
Yeah,
make yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I don't know what and I don't know if the government exacerbates it or makes it worse. I know people who worked for the homeless, and he says a lot of these people, man, they don't want to change. Um, they don't want to get better. I mean, a lot of them are mentally ill or they have drug problems.
Yeah, yeah, they want their food. They know where to get it.
Yeah, yeah, they'll hang out by the fast food places, and get
I
that.
was, I was always more likely to give a homeless person maybe a spare burger or my fries rather than money.
How about a swig of your alcohol?
Yeah, and that's happened.
Come on, man, I need a drink.
Just need a drink. Just one drink.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the winos and the boozers were a lot better than the drug addicts. The drug addicts are far worse, and the mentally ill, oh man, they can have their problems too. There's a homeless guy, and he doesn't know how to behave. I mean, he has no filter for his mouth. I guess he's kind of a Christian, and he was, getting food at the shelter, and he had made the comment, I guess it's kind of a pro-gay church, and he kind of made the comment, God made Adam for Eve, not Adam for Steve. And it's like, dude, even if you believe that, why? Why would you say that? If you're in a church and you're getting their food, why would you do something that may cause you not to come, for them not to invite you back?
Maybe their food wasn't any good.
Well, no, he liked their food. So I mean, and I would never like, and I like to shoot the breeze with people too, but I know if like not to piss the people off that are giving me the food, and who are helping out, and like I said, this guy's been he was kicked out of a gym years ago for making a comment about Obama, and it's like, dude, I mean, and this guy got free gym membership, and all he had to do was, all he was doing was he was cleaning up the place, and he, help with the custodial work and stuff, and he was kind of a gym rat, but he caused too many problems. And they said, you know what, you're more of a problem than you're worth. We don't want you here anymore. Even if he paid, they didn't want him here. And Wayne says drunks are mostly friendly and drug addicts are dangerous.
Well,
And
how are they dangerous? Like, I mean, are they dangerous? Have you been assaulted by a drug addict,
you
Wayne?
know what? You know what? I have I get more of a bad feeling from drug addicts than I do from
Yes.
alcoholics.
Yeah, I think I think the vibes are true. Yeah, for sure. Like I would much rather, cross paths at late at night with someone who's drunk than someone who's methed out of their mind,
Yeah.
which could be frightening.
Now Wayne says because he's the only one in here. Maybe he feels like the homeless do, um, that are out there, and maybe he feels like one of the homeless people that are that are out there in America. They feel like self-conscious and lonely. But
Mhm.
another thing that happened with regards to the homeless is, like I said before, the mental institutions. There were a few um, things with mental institutions where people were not, I guess, mentally ill, and they were forced there against their will. And someone already voted thumbs down on our show.
You're
AK Willie.
Yes, he's crazy and obviously jealous. That's okay.
Yeah. Now is who? Yeah. Why he does that? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Just
But
just a lot of self-loathing going on tonight in our chat room.
yeah. I mean, just I think that the fact that some of these people maybe they have too many rights because, of course,
Mhm.
and I don't know if there are mental facilities for them anymore as there used to be. Maybe there's less money for the mentally ill.
Dude, there was a food like I think one of the major food pantries here. It's like a big business now here in Southern California. There's these places who take all the supermarkets excess food
Mhm.
and they give it away. And so today there was a big so there's this park, not like you don't know the valley, but Sepulveda is a big street. And when you cross over Sepulveda into like some of the areas, it gets, there's some bad areas or whatever. So, anyways, there's a park. It's a few miles from my house, and they were doing a food giveaway. What do they call that? Like I forgot what they call that. Like food. It was like a food shelter basically. And I took a quick video of all the cars that were in line. The line of cars from where they were giving away the food went stretched about a mile and a half. And
Jeez.
I'm not sure what they were getting.
Mhm.
I'm guessing, they're probably getting, I don't know, pennies on the dollar worth of food. Who knows? Maybe a couple bags or a bag of groceries, or not really sure. But wow, I couldn't believe the line of cars.
Yeah.
And I went back and checked about 4 hours later, and the line was still huge. There's still people are still coming for that food. Yeah, food bank. That's what it is. Food bank. So one of the major food banks did this giveaway at the park. That's exactly what it was. And interesting, man. I,
I have heard that people have been running out. Like some of these food banks have been running out of food, man.
where?
Just in different places, I've heard that there have been a few times where the food banks have run out of food.
I have not heard. I've seen this, by the way, for coming as part of what we're going through. I worked in a job that indirectly dealt with food banks,
Mhm.
and it's been almost 10 years where I saw small, little, tiny. I was familiar with most of them because I was getting people jobs at these food banks. And I saw them go from little like garage, people running food banks out of their garage to begin with. And I saw these become amazing, like moving into these huge operations. So I would say going on 10 years now here in Los Angeles, since when it was starting to become a thing. These food banks were just storing and building and storing and building up and building up. So I wonder why. any of them are running out of food. They've been preparing for this for like 10 years.
Well, this has been
Crazy.
recently, and not good. Not good. I mean, it's kind of sad how bad things have gotten out there with regards to the homeless situation and the food banks. I mean, and again, we are the homeless situation has gotten worse since the pandemic, and it's I don't know. It seems like it's going to be, I don't know if things are going to get better or like how much worse. And after this kind of thing happened, I mean, I never thought that this would be, like we'd have a pandemic like this. I always thought there'd be like, my biggest fear was primarily an economic crisis than a a medical crisis, a viral crisis like this. I always thought that we would go through economic, and I wasn't even concerned about an ecological crisis, much more economic. And but I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see an economic crisis, perhaps, as things go down the pike. That's the one thing that I fear right now is like that this country, like because for the first time we saw food shelves bare, things that we've never seen before.
I think right now, though,
Mm-hmm.
right now is an opportunity I see for people to fill up their coffers and get ready for that.
Yeah.
Right now is the time when you should be filling your bags. There are a lot of indicators that things like, a lot of people say Bitcoin is going to go up to 100,000. It's at 54,000 right now. To me, that's a pretty good barometer, and I wonder what's going to happen when it gets to 100,000, if it does. To me, if you haven't capitalized in during this period of time, because while that goes up, it's driving the market. Like all these things are going wild right now. So there's plenty of opportunity, and you can never predict how long that's going to last. But so far, it's been holding up just enough for a lot of people to take advantage of it.
I just read somewhere the federal budget process is a disaster in the waiting. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of difficult things, Joe, and just just the way things have been handled. I don't know, and we never make things. It seems like we don't make things better. We always exacerbate the problem, and
I still think you're way too aggressive in your stock portfolio. You need to diversify a little bit. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. What were there any other hillbillies? No, not hillbillies.
Well, hillbillies are they're people that live in the hills, but you had your homeless. Yeah, I mean you had your hobos and you had your winos, your drunken your drunken bums.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just homelessness, and it's more drug addict and mentally ill than it is the lovable tramp. It's pretty bad out there, and it seems like it might be getting worse. And hopefully it isn't. Hopefully I'm completely wrong. I really hope I am, because I don't want people to suffer. And maybe we can. I don't know. I don't know if we could work to get people to suffer less. Because
Well, maybe as a nonprofit organization, maybe there's something that Transparency and Merit could do in the community to. I'd like to get. The thing is, I'd like to talk. And I've stayed away from a lot of the homeless because there's such a drug element to it that it's not the vibe of yesterday where you walk up to a few, you know, drunks sitting on the sidewalk. You almost feel like you're invading their space, or you know what I mean? It's like could become a threatening situation nowadays to go and point a camera at them. But I would like to maybe do some sort of drive or a place where they could maybe huddle for a couple hours, and give them some an opportunity to talk. And you know, that would be kind of a cool thing for transparency and merit to do, to kind of reach out and talk to these people a little bit. Who knows? Just throwing some
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, and just finding out like what their whole. But I think also talking to analysts who've dealt with the homeless before,
Mhm.
and see what the real problem is with the homeless. Is it? I think a lot of it's drugs and a lot of it's mental illness, and the
Yeah, but
rest.
what's an analyst going to tell you that the actual street people aren't going to tell you? So I want
Well,
to
we can do
talk to the
both.
street people.
We can do both.
Yeah, maybe have a.
You know what? Human beings do lie. You know, they don't. A lot of people will say I'm not on drugs and this and that, but there's. You know, by the way, there's a great YouTube series called The Soft Underbelly, and it has a lot of the homeless and stuff out there.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, it's a great channel.
So you might want to check that out. Anyway, Joe, is there anything else to go over? We've kind of talked about things and the, I guess, kind of the evolution.
Wayne
Of,
says, reach out to people who have survived adversity. Now, I was a grief therapist specifically for survivors of violent crime. And now that I'm kind of stepped away from that
Mhm.
realm, I could say it was an amazing experience. It really got to talk to some people that I don't think I ever would have talked to in that way, and gave me a real interesting kind of outlook. But um, at the time, it had given me a lot of hope for therapy because I saw some real quick responses to therapy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, um, you know, to make money and to really kind of thrive as a therapist, you know, you have to start working with m- more difficult sort of situations, and that gets crazy out of hand. But anyways, that particular group of survivors of adversity, it's a real interesting, I do agree, it's an interesting segment of people to talk to. All right, are we done?
Yeah, let's call it a day, Joe. I think we've covered as much as we've covered. There's not going to be any new information here.
Shame
So
on everybody who didn't listen tonight live, but you can listen to the replay, and check out Wayne Whiteside on YouTube. He's got great music, and that's where we get our info.
I just wanted to mention to the ending thing because it used to be you couldn't get a shopping cart now, and then they started giving people those, and it became an even worse problem. Anyway, like and subscribe to our channel, and also um, visit our website. We're still working on it. We're in the process. I mean, things are tough right now, but we're still working on things. Transparency and merit.
Yep. All right. And actually, if you know anything about running a successful website, let us know.